Welcome to the Colonel Pride Review. I discuss history, literature, and politics. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. Reparations has been in the news a lot recently, both in my country, Britain, and also in America, focusing usually on racism or the slave trade or subjects related to that. In Sacramento, California, there was a task force meeting of people coming together, black community leaders or something like that, to discuss how this was going to be implemented in their part of the United States. And there was one particularly sharply dressed individual there who had this to say about it, which I thought was particularly striking. He said this: "There's only one thing that will stop our children from busting into these liquor stores. There's only one thing that will stop our children from bursting into jewelry stores: reparations." So, what are we listening to there? When someone's saying this to us, what are they doing? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They are threatening you. They are trying to extort you. It is, sometimes we hear this, speech is violence. The left love to say this. Well, this is a sort of like that. This is violent speech. This is saying, give me something that I want from you, or I'm going to hurt you. Or, as he puts it, his children are going to hurt you by robbing you, which is a kind of violence. It is taking things away from you that you need. Now, extortion has a venerable and illustrious history. It has taken many forms, though I believe the impulse behind it, of course, is fundamentally the same. In English history, there was a time when the kings of England, Anglo-Saxon England, pre-Norman conquest England, paid the Dane-Geld. Now, this refers to a tax paid to the Danes, or really the Scandinavians generally, the Vikings, these Scandinavian invader savages who were trying to take our country from us. The country paid them to go away. Now, did they go away? Oh, no, of course not, because once someone who's extorting from you, when they know you're weak, they will try and take more, and ultimately the kings of England had to fight the Vikings. Dane-Geld can also refer to the tax placed on the English population, enabling the kings to pay this tax, and that is actually quite reminiscent to how one assumes reparations might work in the United States. Now, this Dane-Geld was the subject of a very interesting poem by Rudyard Kipling, the great English poet, and I want to take a look at this poem now in this video and see if there's any lessons in that poem for us today. Are we about to embark on paying the Dane-Geld again? Let's take a look. It is always a temptation to an armed and agile nation to call upon a neighbor and to say, "We invaded you last night. We are quite prepared to fight unless you pay us cash to go away." And that is called asking for Dane-Geld. And the people who ask it explain that you've only to pay them the Dane-Geld, and then you'll get rid of the Dane. It is always a temptation to a rich and lazy nation to puff and look important and to say, "Though we know we should defeat you, we have not the time to meet you. We will therefore pay you cash to go away." And that is called paying the Dane-Geld. But we've proved it again and again that if once you have paid him the Dane-Geld, you never get rid of the Dane. It is wrong to put temptation in the path of any nation, for fear they should succumb and go astray. So when you are requested to pay up or be molested, you will find it better policy to say, "We never pay anyone Dane-Geld, no matter how trifling the cost." For the end of that game is oppression and shame, and the nation that plays it is lost. I think the lessons here are quite clear for modern times. I think Rudyard Kipling has laid it out very well. Pay the Dane-Geld, you'll never get rid of the Dane. Pay the reparations, you're not going to get rid of the crime wave gripping the United States. If you pay other people, expecting them not to hurt you just because you pay them, you're going to be surely disappointed. In the West today, we have multiple instances of this. Not only reparations, though I've chosen to focus on that for the first part of this video, but I'd like to mention quickly also the situation with Turkey. So from 2016, you had the EU-Turkey migrant deal, by which we paid 6 billion euros to Turkey in exchange for not flooding us with waves of people. We paid them not to do us harm. And of course, by doing so, we demonstrated how much weaker we are than them. We demonstrated that they have the upper hand, the initiative in relations between us. And of course, we pay the price for this, both monetarily, but also, I believe strongly, in our pride. Now, I think both of these issues, the way we have to pay Turkey to hold back migration, the way we have to, as the swankily gentleman suggested, we have to pay people not to commit crime in Sacramento, they represent the same fundamental problem. And that problem is cowardice. There's too much cowardice. The EU paid Turkey to keep back migrants because the EU didn't want to take on the burden of being mean to people fleeing wars. Many of them were fleeing wars in the case of the people in Turkey that the West had helped create. Now, I'm not saying that to justify people coming to Europe. I'm not necessarily supportive of that, but that's why they were doing that. They could accept Turkey being holding these people back. They didn't want to do the dirty work themselves. In the case of the United States, or in the case of the UK with proposals for reparations, it's a similar kind of cowardice, not from an external force, but from one that's internal. There we have people who are scared of their own, or elements of their own population, and they want to pay them off. And I think they're going to be disappointed. They're going to be really disappointed. The real solution to all of this is courage, moral courage, the courage to defend yourself, the courage to defend your country, the courage to defend your history. If you can do that, then you won't have to have the shame and oppression of the Dane-Geld.